All right, so we move ahead to the NFC West. The final countdown, the clock is ticking on the San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl window. If Brandon Ayuk leaves and Debo is next, this is no bueno for this offense, this team. I think they're in a very small window here, maybe 1 or 2 more years. You still have Brock Purdy on his rookie contract, so when you have that, we talked about it with some of these other teams, you have that contract or salary, flexibility. You can afford to spend on other positions.
You load it around. Absolutely.
Yeah, load up on the O-line, you load up on the offensive weapons. So they have only another year or two of that. I believe Brock's got one more year left on his rookie deal.
Correct.
So he's gonna get paid. It's only a matter of time.
$400,000 compared to $40 million.
Right. And now Brandon Ayuk wants to go. If he leaves, this team's in trouble. He's an absolute superstar. I'm surprised it's taken them this long to meet his demands. From what I saw with the contracts they offered him, it was about $4 or $5 million below what the top wide receiver markets are asking for nowadays. I think he was getting right around $27-28 million a year in that offer. And guys like Jamar Chase and Jefferson, they're all getting 32, 33, 34. So to me, the Niners are making a huge mistake by not paying this guy, and it could really impact this team this season.
It'll affect his attitude for sure. It's like if he's not gonna if he doesn't know where his next paycheck is coming, is he gonna go across the middle and give his all, or is he gonna alligator arm a pass on a slant? Most likely he's gonna alligator arm it. Yeah. My question for you is: do you think they're gonna win 12 games this year?
If let's assume Ayuk is there. If Brandon Ayuk is still a Niner, I think they win 13 games. Yeah.
Even if I'd say even if he isn't there.
If he isn't, I think that's enough of a loss where they don't
really
meet that mark.
Really, you don't think they can beat up their division?
No, and the reason is if you go back and you watch Brock Purdy in the key moments, he looked for Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, Kittle helped him get there. CMC was obviously a huge part of that team, but Brandon Ayuk had some monster catches that propelled this team into the Super Bowl last year.
Okay, that's good little tidbit there.
Yeah, and if you look at the rest of the team, they're stacked at running back. They obviously have Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in the league. Arguably, Jordan Mason is behind him, very serviceable. He's looked great in small doses that he's been out there. Elijah Mitchell, we know the coaching staff loves him. And then in the wide receiver room, there's not much after Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, they have Debo. He's kind of that, he's that, Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. But they draft the rookie, Ricky Pearsall from Florida. He's already injured, has barely practiced, barely participated in training camp. The next guy up is really Juwan Jennings, and he's the guy you want to own after Ayuk and Samuel in that wide receiver room. But George Kittle's going to eat. We talked about it before. He's in great shape. He looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. It's just one of his first off seasons in a long time, fully healthy. I think big things are ahead for Kittle. And with Debo, it all comes down to, is Brandon Ayuk going to be traded or not? If Brandon Ayuk is still there, I feel less optimistic about Debo's 2024 season. If Ayuk is not there, Debo becomes a potential league winner. Right now, he's going as wide receiver 15 in fantasy drafts. In games without Brandon Ayuk, Debo has had 24 or more fantasy points per game, 12.5 targets per game, and 125 or more receiving yards per game. So
does that get halved or thirded?
Well, he's used differently. When Ayuk is in the lineup, there's less being asked of Debo as a wide receiver. So he's able to go in the backfield. He's, they use him, like I said, as a Swiss Army knife. So for me,
more of an
my opinion of Debo doesn't change that much if Ayuk is there. But like the stats show he is more consistent without Ayuk.
4,000 yards for Purdy.
Yeah, if Ayuk is there again under the the understanding that Brandon Ayuk is signed and back with the team, yeah,
he's at plus 110 for that right now. So that seems like a pretty good.
In the latest reports as we're filming this right now are that the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk are very close to a deal.
That was the last thing I saw this morning.
He's being traded, he's not being traded, he's being traded, he's not being traded. We don't know, but it seems like they're close to getting the deal done. It would be really silly for the Niners to mess this up and close that Super Bowl window that is already closing, but it's still open.
And when it comes to fantasy anyway, even if he's traded, he will impact that team, right? Like he's that good.
Where's he going? If he's going to Pittsburgh,
even if he goes to Pittsburgh.
See, if he's going to Pittsburgh,
He'll take targets away from Pickens, but
yeah. So if he goes to Pittsburgh, I feel more optimistic about Pickens than I did before because I think Pickens is going to see a lot of the double coverage. But if Ayuk is catching balls from Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, I feel a lot less optimistic about him. I don't know.
Fields and him can work
Get that
together.
connection.
Yeah, exactly. I think Fields can work out of the pocket.
Well, for me, Brandon Ayuk is a top 5 talent as a wide receiver just by himself. So if you plug him with any NFL quarterback, he should turn them into a much better passer than they actually are.
That's what I was getting at with when we talked about Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Just sometimes the quarterback just makes you that much better, or the receiver makes the quarterback better.
Yep, definitely. Let's go north in Seattle. The Seahawks don't really have an identity. They lose Pete Carroll. He's no longer their head coach. They bring in Mike McDonald. He's their new head coach, the former defensive coordinator for the Ravens. They also bring in the offensive-minded offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, who was the former Washington Huskies coach. He obviously had a great year last year. He ran a lot of 3-wide sets in college with Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. We're going to see a lot of the same in Seattle now with DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and of course Tyler Lockett. I'm feeling very good about this team. It's an odd hire with Mike McDonald. You're seeing the league hire more offensive-minded head coaches, but we've seen a couple of successful defensive-minded head coaches. Robert Saleh hasn't quite seen that success, but we've seen it in Houston with DeMeco Ryans, so it can work. I'm really interested in this offense. There's a lot of unknowns. I know you're high in DK Metcalf.
I'm very high in DK Metcalf. We've talked about the freaks of nature before, and when you're 6'5", 230,
shouldn't be able to move like that.
I mean, there's a meme of him when he. Do you remember when he ran down? I forgot which. I'm sorry, I can't remember which receiver he ran down. But it
was Budda Baker. It was a safety. So Budda had an interception.
Right.
Back for the Cardinals.
It was
and he caught him.
Way. So someone like that. When I see a number at negative 110 for 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards is less than 7 for 16 game season. It was less than 70 yards a game. So you can go to the bank with that.
Yeah. No, I like it, and it's a crowded wide receiver room. And the thing with Seattle, they will have, like I said, they will use a lot of 3-wide sets. Geno will spread the ball around, but the unknown here is Jackson Smith-Njigba, one of the top college prospects ever. Seattle drafts him. He doesn't do a lot last season in his rookie year. Starts to pick it up towards the end of the season. I'm really interested in him. I think he's poised to break out if he gets more volume. He was the 17th wide receiver in the league in route win rate last year, 13th in the NFL in yards after the catch per reception among wide receivers and tight ends. But he only drew 5.5 targets per game. He only had 570 air yards, which was 82nd in the NFL, and 8.8 points per game, which obviously was bottom 50 as well.
And it's hard to believe in Geno Smith, right? Like, we've seen Geno Smith do poor. We've seen Geno Smith do pretty darn well. Yeah. We'll see. I do like the offensive coordinator coming from Washington. They love to air the ball out over there. So if Geno can get the ball to DK down the field, that can lead to more explosive plays, which means more wins.
Yeah, by the way, betting on DK or Jackson Smith-Njigba could also be partially because you're betting against Tyler Lockett, who again is he's another year older. I am not the biggest Tyler Lockett fan. He seems to burn fantasy managers every year for not taking him. He always outperforms his ADP, but I'm out on Tyler Lockett, and therefore maybe I should be more in on DK Metcalf, but I'm more optimistic.
Fantasy is a little different with betting with their, the consistency is nicer for fantasy.
Yeah. And
do you think they're going to... I'm sorry to cut you off. We're at 8 wins or no?
So I'm going to go... that is probably spot on. I would say they're right around 8 or 9, so I'll take the over. I say they have 9 wins.
All right, over is at negative 150, so that Vegas agrees with you.
Yeah, the Achilles heel for this team is going to be their defense. They've got a couple of young studs there, but they have a lot of holes that they haven't quite filled in a couple of years. So they're going to have to sling it, especially in this
Right.
division. You want to keep up with the Niners. I think the Cardinals are going to take a step up this year.
Right, offensive coordinator. So I'm a little bit excited about that. Like
Right.
watching Penix do that in college, and then hopefully that will transfer to the pros.
Yeah, and the Rams are going to sling it too. So
Right, yeah.
in these 6 divisional matchups, they're going to have to put up some points. And in the tight end room, not a lot to talk about, but Noah Fant, a lot of people loved him coming out of college. One of those Iowa tight ends that was supposed to break the NFL. So hasn't quite panned out.
Iowa doesn't score.
Yeah, right. They don't score. It's a good point. I mean, that's
Bet the under.
Yeah, bet the under.
I think they had unders at like six.
Well,
legit. It was
they set records for punting for a reason.
Right.
So not a lot to talk about there, but a lot to talk about in Arizona. The Cardinals, start your engines. They might be my favorite fantasy team to invest in this year.
Oh yeah.
Trey McBride is my favorite fantasy tight end. Marvin Harrison Jr. is already a superstar, and he hasn't even stepped on the field in an NFL game yet.
Haven't seen that since Randy
And
Moss.
Kyler is cleared for takeoff. And don't sleep on James Conner either. Again, as we always do, this offense looks fantastic on paper.
Marvin Harrison Jr. negative 125. I mentioned it earlier, Bob. Parlaying it with Mike Evans, it just it seems like it's a no-brainer. I mean, the five tools, wrong sport. That's baseball.
No, hey, he does have. If there was 5 tools, he has them. He has 10 tools.
But I also got a Kyler Murray at plus 380 for 4K yards,
Yeah,
and that seems like it's very attainable this year.
Yeah, love that. Trey McBride, any of those prop bets, I'm hammering this year. He didn't
7 wins.
Yes, yeah, I'm going over. I think Arizona surprises a lot of people. Their defense has a lot of holes, just like Seattle. Way more than Seattle's defense.
Vegas
actually
agrees with you. Negative 150
but
again.
they are set up to score. That offense is going to be electric. Even if James Conner gets hurt, which I think he will at some point, it's pretty much a given. Trey Benson, the rookie from Florida State, is all systems go. He's going to be their backup.
There's no Call of Duty updates, is there? I don't think there is. I did play it a little bit, but I don't think there are.
I heard Madden 25 wasn't very good either, so maybe Kyler won't be playing that. Mm-hmm. But Trey McBride, to me, didn't get the starting job until week 8. Before week 8, his highest snap share was 58%. Then Kyler comes back off the ACL injury. Week 10, still wasn't quite 100% at that point, but then from weeks 8 through 18, McBride averaged almost 15 points per game, good for number 1 in the NFL for tight ends. Now, fast forward to 2024, the Cardinals' defense could be one of the worst in the NFL. They're going to need to score to stay in games, like I said. Kyler is now 100% healthy. They draft Marvin Harrison Jr. to take the top off of defenses. The middle of the field is going to be wide open. Trey McBride was being treated as their number 1 option in games last season. He's going to have a lot less pressure on him. I think he's going to crush it. Some metrics for you. 10-game sample size for McBride, but he was 6th in targets, 9th in target share, 1st in target rate at 26.1%, 276 slot snaps, which is what you want to see out of the tight end. That was 10th. Air yards, 633, top 10. Deep target 6. And the list goes on and on.
Right.
He's an animal. And again, one of the biggest indicators for fantasy, yards per route run, he was 2nd at 2.03.
Where is he getting picked? ADP wise.
Right now, he's going off the board as tight end 3 or 4. Okay. I've seen him go as late as tight end 5. No chance by the time real draft season rolls around by next week or the week after. He is going to be you have to spend about a round 4 or 5 pick to get McBride, but he's worth it. You should treat him the way you treat Travis Kelce this year.
Really?
I think Trey McBride outscores Kelce. I think he outscores every tight end except Sam Laporta.
You heard it here first. You heard
my number 2 tight end for sure. And let's just jump right ahead to the LA Rams. To me, this team is the glue factory team. They're the most intriguing team in terms of fantasy football. But that's if everyone stays healthy. So, look out. But that's a big if. Stafford's already dinged up. He's got a hamstring.
He's been dinged up ever since out of Georgia.
Yeah, and they're talking it down. They're saying it's no big deal. He'll be ready for week 1. I'm sure he will. But keep an eye on that. The backup there is now Jimmy Garoppolo. He came over from Las Vegas. Good-looking man. Not the best quarterback, but serviceable backup for sure. I want to talk about the wide receivers. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson is there. This is a really talented wide receiver group. And to me, it's a total toss-up. You could take Puka or Cooper in round 1. I have no problem with either. Both of those guys are going to eat this year. Couple of positives for you on Puka. I'll give you the negatives in a second. He only had 6 touchdowns in 2023, so there's room to improve there. 29% target share, top 5 big play, top 10 in yards per route run, top 5 in yards after the catch, and number 2 in yards after the contact. The 2 negatives, Kyren Williams, he takes a lot of the touchdowns in the red zone. Cooper Kupp is now healthy. The targets per game is probably going to drop on average from about 13 or 14 to 8. So to me, this is a tough call. I'm leaning Cooper. Both guys are fine options.
Where is Cooper going now?
He's going in round 2. So
he's going that early.
If you want Puka, you have to spend a late first, early second round pick on him. If you want Cooper, you can get him in the second or third round.
I understand fantasies, your realm. That seems too early for me for both of them. Now at plus 115 for 1,000 yards for Cooper. Vegas didn't forget that he was an amazing receiver the year before.
He looks good too.
Right.
He's healthy.
Right.
He's fully healthy.
He's breaking back. He's making his breaks.
Yeah, he's back to 2022 Cooper Kupp. And Puka is dealing with an injury right now. He's actually questionable week 1. So I never like to draft players that are going into the season injured because it's such a long, grueling season.
Right.
If you're already starting down a hamstring or a wrist or a shoulder, that's going to be tough. In the running back room, though, everyone's high on Kyren Williams. I know he's a polarizing player. People are saying that he's injury prone. You have other people saying that he should be going top 5. And his metrics prove that. He did have great stats last year.
You like Blake, though, don't you?
I'm big on the rookie. Blake Corum from Michigan, national champion, comes in. He's the type of running back that Sean McVay loves. You can trust him in the passing game, pass blocking, great blocker, strong runner. He's not that quick or that elusive, but he does just enough, and he's a great goal line back, really good in the red zone. Even if you have Kyren Williams, prepare yourself to have those touchdowns vultured by Blake Corum early in the season. And if Kyren gets injured, Blake Corum's a top 10 running back, no doubt.
Aaron Donald's still there, correct?
Nope, retired.
No, he did retire.
Yep, so Aaron Donald's gone. They lost a couple guys on defense, but for the most part, the rest of this team is status quo.
I bring that up because of the 8.5 wins that they have, that Vegas has them.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under on that. I don't think this team wins as many games as they should. I think the injury bug clearly has already gotten to them. Every one of their players has already been dinged up. Matthew Stafford, starting quarterback, starting running back, and starting wide receiver are already injured, and the season hasn't even started.
Plus 135.
Yeah, I'm going under. It's a tough division. The Cardinals are going to impress people. The Seahawks are never going to be an easy win for any of these teams, and the Niners are going to probably have a clean sweep in this division. So.
Right. Vegas has it with you. That makes a lot of sense. I do like the Cooper pick for 115. I'm going to put that in tomorrow.
Yeah, I would take all of my Cooper Kupp bets to the bank.
Right.
He seems like he is due for this breakout bounce back season. That doesn't necessarily mean that the other weapons on that team, specifically Puka Nacua, can't also do it. I think they could have 2 1,000-yard receivers and 2 top 10 wide receivers.
If he's as healthy as you're saying, he can do 2,000 in half a season.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Cooper gets 1,000 yards in his sleep. So that puts a bow on the NFC West, and that actually wraps up our preseason preview here. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is the first ever the Ump and the Chump show, and stick with us throughout the season. George and I are going to be doing weekly shows, weekly recaps every Tuesday, I believe. So stick around. You can find us on Twitter. You can find George on TikTok. He's got that going.
Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, I got Chump Fantasy Sports going on TikTok. X, I've been on X. I still try to call it Twitter.
X, formerly platform formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, I'm very active on there. You will see all of my prop bets. I pretty much post daily.
Yeah, and we'll have all this content up on our website pretty soon. So stay tuned, guys, and appreciate you coming along for the ride. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Yes, please.
We need all the engagement we can get here. So
and if you want to start hearing a little bit more about our personal stuff, maybe we'll put that in some videos and later down the line. Yeah,
and we had the logo behind us was actually done by George's son. So we replaced that today, but there's a good story behind that too. So we have the whole family, really the whole neighborhood behind us here. So excited.
Thank you.